GeoCities was a hosting website that went online in 1994 and lasted until 2009. It was a site connected together by themed neighborhoods, such as Area 51, made up of sites about science fiction and conspiracy theories, and Hollywood, made up of websites about film and actors. As far as individual pages went, it allowed users who knew how to code to create their own space from the ground up, being allowed to place text and images wherever they pleased. Many of these personal sites look like this. Yeah. But even though these sites had these pretty tacky looks to them, letting users make stuff like this was a really special feature of the early internet. Jay Hoffman, writer for The History of the Web, writes about the history of GeoCities. It became a comfort to a lot of people who were trying to navigate what the web even was, never mind their place in it. It reaffirmed that you, yes, you deserve a space on the glorious web. So come on in and fill it with a little piece of yourself. When GeoCities closed in 2009, MySpace became the next big thing, a social networking website where people could customize their own personal profile page and friend other people. While MySpace was notoriously a breeding ground for scene kids, many other kinds of people use the pages still, such as musicians and artists. MySpace had a slightly tighter template, but still allowed users to decorate their pages to match their interests. But with the freedom to decorate came congested pages with auto-playing music and GIFs, making the profile surfing experience way too slow. Facebook, another social networking website that was emerging at around the same time as MySpace, didn't allow its users to customize their pages, instead focusing on a sleek template format. Many of these people started joining Facebook instead of MySpace to avoid the craziness of its users' pages. After Facebook overtook MySpace in user count, other emerging websites decided to follow in Facebook's lead and prioritize a sleek, templatey look instead of letting its users customize their pages in the way they wanted to. But nowadays, for many creatives, the lack of customization on the modern web can be boring. Boring! Boring! But how do we feel creatively fulfilled on the internet again? Creatives should be able to customize their own space on the web. We should be able to push the limits of the internet. Many online artists, including me, feel frustrated with modern website builders. According to Ernie Smith on Website Builders, but they are constant reminders that you're ultimately building castles in someone else's sandbox, which is sad and unfortunate when you're trying to build the coolest sandcastle you can. When it comes to creatives wanting to build a web space unique to them, it doesn't work when the only options online are web templates and rigid social media sites. With customized websites, it's easy to see the personality in them. Jay Hoffman on GeoCities again says, "It let people express themselves, not just with some pointless and limited status box, but however the hell they wanted to, even if it was garish, especially if it was garish. It was people all the way down. Even though many of the websites on there looked kitschy and amateur, it displayed how there were people behind the websites, not template builders." Modern social media can be harmful to artists. Preston Cram, an artist, describes a video he watched by neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman. Cram made the connection between children talked about in the video and the feelings of artists on social media. The experiment in the video included children who gained dopamine from being given gold stars drawing, then feeling generally less motivated when the handout of stars is stopped. After that external validation was removed, so was the motivation to make art, and you can probably make the connection from there. Instagram likes are gold stars for adults. With artists on social media, they feel like they need to work for likes and followers. If their expectations are not met on social media, they lose the motivation to make art. So if artists were allowed their own customizable space, they shouldn't have to worry as much about engagement and the number of likes they get on a post. Along with this, artists don't feel the need to create for their followers, but instead for themselves. So what's keeping you from making your own site? Well, building websites can be really difficult as coding can be a very tedious process. As a webmaster myself, it takes a lot of trial and error to get something right. Maybe someone who is trying to create a website can't create the product they envisioned, or can't vibe with the 1990s web server look. But with the right tools, creative web design can be faster and more appealing to browse. When people started moving to Facebook to avoid harsh graphics, it was assumed that Facebook's solid style was the best way for people to own their own web spaces. With the static format, social media companies haven't worked for advancements in customization where people could create their pages in a creative yet responsive way. Plus, for people who want to start creating their own space but don't know how to code, there are some creative websites that already exist that don't require coding, such as mmm.page and Hotglue. Check them out. All in all, the internet has lost a lot of creativity that was coming from its users. Modern social media sites can suck the motivation out of us with their engagement-based system, and modern website builders often limit us to few formats. But if we take the time to create spaces of our own, like an art portfolio, a fan page, an internet-breaking site, or a page for your cat, it can bring the user-based imagination back.